Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm waving. Don't see you, but I am waving here in the studio. Thank you so much for tuning in back to the Grow podcast. As I've been talking about through the promo over the next couple of weeks, let's talk Auburn. Let's talk Auburn. We're going to talk about my time at Auburn. Also, some of the things that have been the changes that are going on right now at Auburn. I've been getting a ton of questions. So I'm just going to go ahead and finally just open myself up to say if you have questions, I am ready to answer them. So listen, if you have any questions, go ahead and email me at davidrocker.thegrow@gmail. So if you have any questions about Auburn football, send them to me. And over the next couple of weeks, I'm just going to talk Auburn. I'm really going to do this. And trust me, I've been avoiding this for a very long time. Let me go ahead and say this. I am so proud of my Auburn Tigers and especially how they performed over this past weekend, beating New Mexico 45-19. Now, of course, started out this season with a very impressive win over Alabama A&M. Of course, we know about those warm-up games. That was a big win, 73-3. Surprising loss to California, 14-21. And of course, one of the things that really touched my heart that made me really open up and say, I wanted to talk about this was seeing with the quarterback change that took place. Obviously, Peyton Thorne being the senior, being replaced by Hank Brown, redshirt freshman. The comments on social media on how people would talk about these kids as though they have no feelings. Now, being a former football player, of course, you can have the ego and everything that you need to the mental toughness to get you through a football game. But at the end of the day, these are still very impressionable young men. And I just want people to be sensitive to what they are saying about these kids on social media. One of the things that really frustrate me is how people can hide behind social media and type up a lot of mean things. But if you really feel that way, why don't you go and say that to their parents? Say it to the kid or the young man to his face. But to hide behind social media, that is very frustrating to me. And I just want to just really say this in a sense of just really think about the stuff that you're saying about these very impressionable young men. No one knows the pressure that it is to play college football. Let me say that, because that's the sport I'm familiar with, but I'm just going to say to play on the college level, period. And especially in a Power 5 Division I school. One of the things that I can remember is coming in as a highly touted freshman with this great expectation to perform. And as much as the glitz and the glamour, that's what people see, no one understood the pressure that I felt. For two reasons. Number one, being a top recruit coming out the state of Georgia, also coming in, and my brother Tracy being there, being an All-American. So I just knew all these eyes were on me in a sense of just ready to perform. No one thought about, or even now, let's be sensitive to these kids who they may have been great high school players, but there's a serious jump. There's a transition that must take place as far as adapting to the college level. It's a different speed. The guys are bigger, much more talented. So we have to be sensitive to those kids who it may just take a little time for them to get it. Of course, one of the things we're going to talk about next week, so many people have been asking me, or I had a conversation a couple of days ago with someone about what was the greatest era in Auburn history. Of course, I was there with Pat Dye, but some people were there with Bobby Bowden, of course, having the 10-0 season, or Tuberville. What was the greatest era? We're going to be talking about that next week. And if you want to chime in, go ahead and email me at davidrocker.thegrow@gmail.com so we can talk about what do you think was the greatest era in Auburn history. Now, of course, some people may want to go way back to the Pat Sullivan days and Jordan Hare when they were coaching, but I just want to get your take. You tell me, and of course, I will state my opinion next week about what I deem was the greatest era in Auburn football history. Of course, as I mentioned, I'm happy that with the impressive win, but the big thing was this. Going through the quarterback change, someone was asking me, how do you feel with the upcoming game? far as them playing Arkansas. I think even though Auburn has the edge right now, I think they're going to have a win. Let me just say that. Of course, anyone who knows me, I'm always going to be pulling for my Auburn Tigers, but I am going to also keep it real in the sense of when I know it's tough games. I commend Hugh Freeze on the job that he's been doing. Of course, a lot of people can agree, disagree with how a coach comes in and change things. And I must admit, I am from the old school. I am from the Pat Dye era, and it's just certain traditions that I look for in Auburn football. It's a certain level of toughness that I believe that needs to always be a mainstay, as far as especially with the defensive line. That's just Auburn tradition. I feel as though the Auburn defensive line played well. I think they can play better. I'm not faulting anyone. It's not a coaching thing. I just think it's going to take time. And certain things just need to be a mainstay on this is the way we play. So finding guys that just have that tough edge may be difficult now because things have changed. And again, I don't want to talk about all the different things that people have been asking me all in this one quick podcast episode, but I really believe the transfer portal plays a major role in trying to develop chemistry with a defensive line, offensive line, with a football team, because you have new guys changing in every year. You don't have guys who can actually say, we came in as freshmen and now we're juniors together, we're seniors together. So that can be a little bit difficult. And of course, when you throw in the NILs, that's another thing that can really make it tough to find guys that fit your program. So, but back to the main topic at hand. I think Hank Brown did an excellent job coming in, redshirt freshman who committed to Liberty when Hugh Freeze decided to come to Auburn. Of course, Hank Brown changed his commitment from Liberty and came to Auburn. Redshirt freshman. Of course, we have when he came in, Peyton Thorne was the senior transfer from Michigan State. And we need to understand that a lot of people don't understand this. One of the big things that I had to grasp when I got to Auburn was no longer was this just fun high school football. Nope, it became a business. And we need to understand when you are now playing sports that has a huge business element in it, you need to understand that business decisions are going to be made. So when you start looking at the situation that Auburn is in, Auburn needs to win now. That's how everyone feels. Listen, we're not known to be a shaky team. We've been through a very rough period. So now it's time for Auburn to get back on being the powerhouse that it's been known for being for many of years. So business decisions will be made in a business to put that business in the best position to win. So again, I have nothing against Peyton Thorne. I have nothing against Hank Brown, but I do understand the business decision that was made in the sense of saying we needed to make a change. Obviously, Auburn made a change, and I think it was a great change. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, the numbers speak for itself. When you start looking at the impressive win, 45-19, Hank Brown did a great job on looking very calm, very poised, and did a great job. Arkansas, I think it's going to be a little bit of a tougher test, but I think by Hank Brown having this opportunity to play in this game right here, that takes all the major pressure off. I think he has the confidence to know that he's going to be able to perform on the college level. And also, Auburn's going to be able to ride this morale. I mean, the momentum they have the momentum. So Arkansas coming into Jordan-Hare, so I look for Auburn to be able to pull that out. And we're going to see how Auburn does over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to leave you with this. As I've talked about the pressure of performing on the college level, I'll never forget my time at Auburn in a way of, at that time, the Coliseum. We used to get dressed at the Coliseum before they built the complex. And as much as I had great confidence coming in from high school, I'll never forget when I would make that walk from the Coliseum over to the practice field, I can remember so many times, and I'm being very honest, because we practice so hard, I can remember crossing that street, and I would actually pray, God, just don't let me die today. Don't let me die today. And that's because it was such a pressure to perform, but also it was just an expectation to win. So I knew that when we went out there and we had to practice, this is when no one's watching. It was still that pressure there to perform. So understand this. When you see these kids on Saturday, don't just think the pressure just started that Saturday with a field stadium. No, that pressure is there all week, knowing that, man, by the time Saturday rolls around, I have to be ready to perform, because I can mess up in practice and I have a coach who can scream and yell and make that, get me corrected. But man, when you go out there and you mess up in front of 87,000, that can be very crushing. And especially now, since the fans can actually chime in and type on social media how they feel about your performance. So here's what I just want to say. Congratulations to my Auburn Tigers. And listen, no matter what, know that your man, David Rocker, will always be here pulling for my Auburn Tigers, no matter what. Okay? Listen, let's go, let's grow. And as always, let's keep it moving, people.